Here is another set of tricks. I can make these eyes, like instead of moving them little by little like this, you see? Instead of moving them like this, we can actually move them, see, with the rotation things. Go to Makeup Pen Tools, and then you have everything here. Click on Rotate, and rotate around Pivot, and Rotate in Place. Rotate in Place doesn't really mean, doesn't really mean like rotate in place. But it's mainly used for if you want to create eyeballs, and instead of doing them one by one, you can do 2 at a time. And you can make them look left and then look right. Look left, right, whatever. And you can do this for like, regular eyeballs. Like I can take this guy right here. And I can spawn an animation chip. Animation, why isn't it popping up? There we go, animation chip. Alright, here it is. So now we have to select all 3. So 1, 2, and 3. If you want to do it quicker, you can press and hold so you see this big circle and it selects everything. You can hover over everything and then select it all. See, look, I pointed it, press and hold, selects everything. Up and down. You can do the same thing to unselect. See, it'll unselect and select certain items. And then we can click connect and connect the objects to this. See what I just did there? You can select 3 items like this. Select them all. And then just select the general area. Doesn't really matter. And then you can remove it and add it back. Here it is. We're going to do okay, so our first frame. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it look this way. Second frame, and then third frame, we're gonna make it look that way. And then so first frame is gonna be this way, and then that way. So I can just keep it looking this way, and I can add a frame. You can go back to the start. So I can move this around, right? And then this other one will stay the exact same. That wasn't a really good example, hold on. I can move this around. And the second frame will stay the exact same on how I moved it before. So now I'm gonna do this. First frame is gonna look this way. Hang on. Oh, first frame is gonna look this way. See there, I just made the mistake of not selecting all 3 items. So select all 3. Click rotate and do not rotate in place, because if you do rotate in place, they will all rotate. Like that. If I click off rotate in place, I can rotate the whole thing around. And now I want to make the eyes, for extra detail, look that way, right? I can go back to rotate in place, and then I can make it look like that. Okay? So it'll be this way, and then our third frame will be all three. See? Of course, it will be all three. Get off of rotate in place. You can move it this way and then just deselect the main sphere and then go back to rotate in place so you can move the eyes back like that. And then you're gonna see the issue with the animation. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. I think my animation kind of fumbled. I think it just kind of rotated off. Okay. I just made it worse here. Yeah, okay. So you see how it kind of just teleports back to the beginning? You can either do one of two things, because on the CB2 version of the animation chip, you don't have this. At least I don't think so. I haven't really messed with it too much. So here in the settings, you go to your tools, and you will have configure. Click configure on the body of the animation chip, and then you'll have loop, speed percentage, stop at end, stop at start, and allow holding. And that's it. And then playback mode, loop is just, it'll continuously play. Ping pong means it'll go from this way, and then this way. And then it'll reverse the animation once it's done. So it'll go back from here to here to here. So you see here how I click play and it just goes back. I can click on ping pong. See that? Looking this way, forward, and that way. And then we'll do ping pong. On the animation V2 controller. Hold on. Okay. On the animation V2 controller, you don't have a... I'm sorry. You don't have a reverse. So you can configure. And you have forward, ping pong, right here. See this? You have forward and ping pong here. Looping, yes, I would love looping. Which means the animation just plays again. So I'll grab another sphere, and then I'll connect it. It's the same thing as here, but like the stamp, you just connect it from here to here, and you can remove it or whatever. And you can move it up and down. I will add a frame, so it'll just go like this, and then ping pong. Yes, you see that? Ping pong. It'll do the exact same thing. Here. You click this, and then ping pong, so you can do the exact same thing. See that? I'll just move this out the way. And then I'm pretty sure that this does change. Yeah, okay. No, it doesn't change. Okay, so ping pong doesn't have an end to it. It'll just continuously go as long as you have loop on. So if I take loop off, see? It stopped. And then you can also play it manually, and then it'll go up and down, and it'll stop. You can make it play again if you want to. This is just a different way that kind of wastes network and CPU. So now you can take your wire tool, and you can hover it over the execute, and then hold it down until you see the blue play button, and then let go. And then it'll play. See that? Oh, I don't know why it didn't just play again. Okay, so this I think you might need to here add a delay. So pretty much what just happened is that for some reason when you play it, it goes up and then down, but when it goes back down, it goes back to finished, but it doesn't play again. So when it finishes, it's supposed to play. See? But it doesn't play. You just connect this into a delay chip, and then after you can click play. And then set it to like 0.1. 0.1 should be fine. See? 0.1 works. This does work, but it does waste a little bit of CPU. See that? It will waste a little bit of CPU, which is pretty bad, and it does waste a lot for this little circuit. So just keep it on loop if you want. That way you don't have to, you know, that way you don't have to click stop. So whenever the room loads, you can play the animation and then it'll just continuously play. I would use this for things like jump scares and in case I wanted to switch like from running idle or whatever. But that's a completely different thing. So another tip I want to show is rotate around pivot. So let's say for example you want to make some arms, right? And you can move, like last video what I said, you can move the pivot around if you click edit on the object and then you just move the object. So I moved the pivot back here. And if you don't know how to do the pivot, you can always look back in the last video. It's all about pivots and it's what we focus on. So now instead of going like this, so instead of like doing this, right, and then putting this one right over here, like that, that's too much work. What you can do is, okay, what you can do is rotate around pivot, you turn this on, and then it'll move around the pivot, just like this. Super easy to use too. And then you can just turn it on. Well, just go to your select tool, and then you can select the lower arm and then the upper arm. And then you see how it has the pivot down here but not over here. So if I unselect this, it'll have the pivot here. And then if I select it again, it'll have the pivot there. So how it works is the pivot will stay on the object that was selected first. So since this was selected, it has a pivot here instead of here. And then if I select this one, the pivot's here. See? So rotate around pivot means the object will rotate around the pivot. So instead of like rotating like this in place, it'll rotate like that. So I can do this. See? Like let's say I wanted to make I don't know, I'm just gonna make a little rushed animation. Sorry, this is really bad. This is rushed. So here's what I'm gonna show you. This is how it looks in the animation. Okay. So I want multiple objects. Select, 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 and select. 4 different objects. And put it on the eye. After that, we can just hold on. Sorry, I brain freezed. So now we can literally just make an arm animation, just kind of like stretching back and forth. So I can pull this back. Oh, oops. Okay, I can pull this back just like this. And then I can rotate this to the right just a little bit. And the corners here won't always be so accurate, so you can always just move them back just a teeny tiny bit. Move them back and to the left. How it fits in the corners like that. Okay. Now if I press play, you can see my animation kind of go down. This is super useful for legs as well. And then I can make one for, see, this one is going down. This one should be up, so this one should be going down. See, I almost made the mistake. I unselect this, and then I select this one and this one, so the pivot is over here. And I just move this to the right, well, to the left, and down. Don't rotate them too much, just like I did. Because rotating them too much will leave gaping holes in the middle. So, you see this right here? See, well, it'll kind of like leave holes in the middle of arms or whatever. It works perfectly fine with anything else, but here. This is just a little rushed animation. I can always make it different. This is from a reload animation I made a long time ago. Here's the animation. So the issue with this one is you can see it kind of like wobble. Because this one isn't realistic. Because for real arms, your arm would stay attached to you, obviously. And this one just moves as freely as it wants. So you can make animations. See how the arm kind of rotates and bends. Whatever. You can do the same thing here, just by moving it back. And there's another thing that I want to show as well, which is the butterfly. Let me delete this. Okay. I'll delete this right here. And then I will spawn another animation chip. Animation 15 rig is for later. So if you're gonna make something like butterflies, bees, or birds, always leave it so they're either like flat like this or sideways, whatever you want that feels more realistic. And keep this above, not too much though, it's too far up. But for this video, I'll keep it here. If you want to make it easier, you can just select the whole thing and then bend it downwards so it's flat. Right? So now you select all three and then put it in the eye of the animation chip. And then click rotate. So for making a butterfly, you always want, it's fine if you want to start with the wings flat or this, it doesn't matter. But for this, we're just gonna start it flat and then we're gonna go like this, right? We're just gonna make it go flat and up, and we're gonna make it go super fast. So this is gonna be our starting point, and then all we need to do is select rotate around pivot. See, this is where the pivot is. And then you just flap it upwards however you want. Okay. My second animation. Okay. Alright. So, and doesn't matter how high you have the wings. Wings can be anywhere. Okay. So first frame is flat, and then first frame, the other frame is up. And then if you're too lazy, well, not if you're too lazy. So it looks very symmetrical and the same. You want it to go flat, up, and then down flat again, but you want the first frame here to look. I'm gonna add another frame. So you want the first frame to look exactly like this. Well, you want this frame to be this frame as well. So you can just click copy and then paste. See, but the thing is, you also must remember that if you have an item selected, right, and I click copy here, and then I paste it onto here, that object will get pasted the way it was in the other frame. See, now when I play it, it kind of looks a little weird. So if you want to copy and paste the entire frame, you just don't select anything, and then have it paste, and then like this. See a little butterfly. To make it look more realistic, we can configure the animation chip to around, let's say, like 700. Yeah. Then configure and then turn it on. You see, it kind of flaps. You want to make it more realistic, you can configure it again. Make it as fast as you want. I'm gonna go 2500. So it looks a little more realistic. See that? I feel like the wings should go a little more up like that instead, but it's fine. So now we want this butterfly to move around. So if you use the CV1 animation chip, I suggest only using it for things that are gonna be moving permanently, because CV1 doesn't use any CPU or network, so you can like conserve net that way. And then we're just gonna so the eye of this animation chip, move it to the body of this animation chip, not the object, because if I move the object, I'm gonna move the animation. Well, if I move the animation chip, I'm gonna move the object with it. So I can click edit, and I can edit this, and I can add as many frames as I want. Yeah, I'll just move it this, so it's not, all whatever, and then you can literally move it around. And then you can just move it wherever you want. Just keep adding frames. Keep adding frames. See that? and then you can move it downwards, and then I can go back to the first frame because the first frame and the second frame are very identical. I can copy this and add frame and then paste. So now, if I start this, see, it'll move around very robotically. See? If you want it to be more realistic, if you want it to be more realistic with the movement, because this movement looks really monotone and blocky, so we're just gonna click edit, and then you're gonna start from the very first frame and then turn smooth on every single one. Normally I don't allow smooth. I'm fast as hell, huh? So normally I don't allow smooth for animations, but that's just for like animations that are like leg moving or any other animation. But animations that can move freely around like this, like flying and don't really have any obstacles around them, you can make it like this and it'll look a lot like, more organic. Reason being that if I add it to something that moves really fast, right? See this? And I know I didn't set the, so when I did this animation, I didn't set my pivot points at the end because I didn't know about pivots. So like if you look over here, my pivot is set to the handle, but that's only because I centered the pivot. I didn't, see how that's centered? Everything here is centered. That's because I centered the pivot point. So here's what smooth does. People think that smooth is going to make your animation look a lot smoother, which it is, but when you make walk animations or something like that, it's gonna make it look super wonky. So this is an animation I already had pre-made. See? It makes it look super wonky, and every like bit and piece goes around in places you don't want them to be. Show you another example, like walking. Walk. I have a walking animation somewhere here. I don't know where it is. Here, I have the walking animation here. Okay. So here's a walking animation I made in my previous class for my animation class. People who taught me how to animate. Class is called Learn to Animate. Right? You see how the animation's playing, and I have. Hold up. Alright, you see how the animation's playing, and I have this animation's playing, and I have that animation chip to move this. And since both of these animation chips are connected to this one, damn, they move. See, now if I were to add, this is comparison, right? So if I were to take this one, and I were to add smooth to it, if I were to add smooth to it, you see how it looks really wonky and out of place. Compared to this one doesn't look really wonky and out of place. But this one does. So yeah, that'll be it for today.